Go.
Grayson Grundhoefer, Sic'Em365.com recruiting analyst, co-host of the Bearcast with Craig. They do that Tuesdays up on the site and social media. Soon afterwards joins us Sic'Em 365 Radio. Lady Bears, Baylor women's basketball team up 9 over Hawaii with 6 seconds to go in the first half over at the Farrell Center. Winner will get South Dakota. Grayson, I saw you, and you got to help me here, but I saw you tweeting different information. Was it an Under Armour or was there some sort of a camp or event, and you were seeing different, I guess, measurements, et cetera?
Yeah, different recruits out at Under Armour camp at Arlington Martin High School. Got to see a lot of, the top prospects in the nation go out there and compete. Got to see Austin Novosad, the quarterback commit in the 2022 class. So got to see him, or 2023 class. And so, it was a really good event, really good day. Nice to have a camp. It's been a little bit since there was a full-on camp like that. So, it was nice to see some of the talent around the state.
Grayson, what did you think of Baylor yesterday? What do you think of the UNC matchup coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, guys, North Carolina looked really, really good yesterday, which really isn't surprising. They've been playing good basketball. They've kind of been up and down. Their offense is great. So, they're going to be able to score. So Baylor's going to have to find a way to score as well and to get stops. But what I will say is Baylor played really well in this first game. Now, I will say this. Norfolk State was missing their second leading scorer for the first half, and then he basically didn't play in the second half either. He played 2 minutes in the entire game, and frankly, when a school like that loses a player of that significance, it's just not going to be a good day. And Baylor took advantage of that, and Baylor was able to jump on them early. They shot the three-point ball really well, which I think is going to be important in this tournament. They shot 40% from three, which was encouraging. And then, the play of Matthew Meyer and James Akinjo, Jeremy Sohan as well. But Akinjo and Meyer in particular, they really need both of those guys to play really well in this tournament. And they both looked fantastic in this first game. James Akinjo looked so quick. He was getting in the lane whenever he wanted, passing the ball extremely well. So I was impressed. It's a great first-round performance, but they're definitely going to get tested against North Carolina. That's a really, really good team. But on the flip side, I think Baylor's ready for this. And if I've learned anything over the past, few days of the tournament, it's that the Big 12 is for real. And, you look at what Baylor did, what Kansas did, what Texas Tech did today. Those three teams look spectacular in their first game. We'll see how they do throughout the tournament. But they really handled their business, whereas some other schools did not.
How much or how wide did your eyes get as that Kentucky game ended last night, and knowing obviously the effects that has on Baylor's side of the bracket?
Yeah, and that wasn't the only game either. That UCLA game, I was staring at that one as well. Both of those games were just down to the wire. I was stunned at I could not believe Kentucky lost that game. Oscar Tshiebwe did everything he could for them to win that game, but their guards just played terrible. They were not making shots. They were not taking care of the ball. They honestly just did not look like they cared, which is really just shocking at this point in the season. But congrats to St. Peter's. That's one of the bigger upsets I've ever seen, to be honest. I know it's not a 1 versus 16, but Kentucky, a lot of people had them winning the championship or in the Final Four, and they lost to a team that, frankly, I don't see any pros on that court. It's not like when Duke lost to Lehigh, many years ago, where C.J. McCollum was on that team. And as we know, C.J.'s a multi-time All-Star. So, just a really shocking performance by Kentucky. And as far as UCLA goes, they survived barely as well. They got a late run and were able to seal the deal there, or else Baylor's path would be very, very clear to the Elite Eight at least.
Yeah, no, you look at everything about St. Peter's. Budget, coaching staff budget, facilities, where they play. God bless them. And it's why, Grayson, every single year. Now today's gone according to plan from start to finish so far, but it is why this is the greatest, perhaps, event or first day or two of an event in sports.
Yeah, I agree with you. Does it get any better than this? With all these games at the same time, it's just so cool to watch. You got guys playing really, really hard, trying to pull off these big upsets. And for a lot of these schools, they haven't won anything in the tournament. So this is really making history for a school like St. Peter's. It's really, really fun to see. And, honestly, I know today's been quiet, but as you look down the list at some of these games, I mean, Chattanooga versus Illinois, UAB versus Houston, Davidson versus Michigan State, even Colgate versus Wisconsin, I think there's going to be some fireworks later on today. And if we've learned anything from the first day, it's that no team can take a game for granted. So I'm sure we'll see some fireworks tonight.
Grayson, finally got a spring ball date in. Looks like we're starting next week. So right around the corner.
Yeah, I know. Finally, we've been waiting on this, and we talked about it a little bit, on the Bearcast, just kind of waiting for the dates and the times to finally come out. So that's really exciting. I mean, Baylor getting ready to get spring ball going, and that kind of leads me into kind of one thing I did want to bring up today is that Baylor did put out an offer to a transfer defensive lineman / outside linebacker at Jack in DJ Coleman at Jacksonville State. So it's clear that even though spring ball's ramping up and, we're getting closer and closer to the summer, this Baylor staff is still working on trying to add talent to the current roster. And so a new offer to DJ Coleman at Jacksonville State, I think, is a very interesting way to start. And I think we're going to see them continue to be aggressive in the portal throughout the spring and then into the summer as well.
Do you feel like if they do add more from the portal, it'll be like equal offense, defense, or do you feel like it might be more on one side of the football?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they definitely want a pass rusher, and I think they definitely would like to get a cornerback. Now, I think cornerback is a little bit more up in the air because you got young guys that they're trying to see, what kind of talent they have during spring ball. But pass rushing, I think you kind of know what you have there. And I think they would like to add another one to the fold, and that's why you probably saw this offer go out yesterday. So I could see them taking maybe two on the defensive side. But offensively, I think it's really going to come down to the talent that enters the portal, because I do think that they could upgrade at running back. They got really good talent, but they're young and unproven. And then also at wide receiver, those are two positions that I could definitely see them addressing. I kind of doubt they go after the offensive line just because I feel like they have a good option with Micah Mascua or Gavin Byers. But you never know. Maybe they want to get even older on the offensive line. But yeah, so I think it could be equal, but I do think the offense will be a slightly bigger focus, even though I don't see them taking, an infinite amount of transfers, but I think they'll probably take a few.
Grayson, I know we don't normally talk about the NFL in this segment, but you're a big NFL guy. What do you think about Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, shocking, right? I mean, one of the most shocking things I've ever seen is he, told Carolina and Cleveland he was out, he was done, he wasn't going there. And Atlanta and New Orleans, I have a buddy who was just blowing up my phone because he's a Saints fan. And man, did they get hoodwinked. I mean, my goodness, Cleveland just kept grinding, kept staying in contact with him. And so they're able to get him. It's a great move by Cleveland. They really need a quarterback. It's the first time in years that they really have solidified that position with an elite talent. And so now, looking ahead, I mean, the AFC, the quarterbacks there, I mean, it's a gauntlet. And it's going to be fascinating to see how these teams adjust to having a great quarterback and adjusting to the talent that they're going to play every single week. I'm also a huge Colts fan, so the big implication there is if Baker Mayfield ends up being a Colt after this trade for Deshaun Watson.
So I'm guessing you don't think Baker Mayfield's very good?
We always do this with our teams, right? Especially in the NFL. I have done as much research as possible, and I think I've talked myself into Baker Mayfield being a pretty decent quarterback. And my only reason for it is I compared his first 4 years in Cleveland to Drew Brees' first 5 years in San Diego, and they're very similar, guys. They're very similar. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Drew Brees. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but there are some similarities there, and he was on a really bad franchise in Cleveland. And so who knows? Maybe he goes to a new spot, gets himself together, and is able to be really, really effective. But, I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think he can be a top 15 guy.
Thank you, Grayson. Appreciate it. Grayson Grundhoefer, Fridays at 3:45 with us on Sic'Em 365 Radio. We're going to come back and discuss